There's no such thing as sight reading. And so what about tonguing? We talked about how jazz style is created by accent placements. It's an interaction between quiet eighth notes and loud eighth notes. But how does the tonguing fit in with this? Well, it depends. If you're a piano player, or a guitar player, or a string player, or a vibes player, you're not going to tongue anything. But the accents are going to still remain in place if you want to sound like you're playing jazz style. If you're a trombone player, you're probably going to tongue just about everything, right? But if you want to sound like you're playing jazz style, it's the interaction between the quiets and the louds. The accents are going to remain in place. But if you're a wind player on an instrument that associates the physical act of tonguing, either the mouthpiece or the roof of your mouth or your teeth or wherever you articulate. If you're a wind player that associates the physical act of tonguing with articulation, well, it still depends. Remember that the physical act of tonguing isn't so much to create the style as it is to create rhythmic precision. So wind players are always too much associating articulation style with the use of their tongue. Your tongue doesn't create the style. Typically, if you're a wind player, different articulation styles are created by different uses of your air, and the way you physically tongue, whether your mouthpiece or your tongue placement inside your mouth, is going to be the same. For example, a legato articulation is physically tongued the same as an accented articulation, but the accent is going to have the volume at the beginning of the note, and then it's going to decay. It's going to get quieter toward the end of the note. That's why an accent looks like a little decrescendo, because that's what it is. It's a little decrescendo that only affects one note. The way you physically tongue those notes, if you're a wind player, is the same, right? The style is created by the way you're using your air. And so if you're a wind player and you're playing classical music and you're playing a slow lyrical piece, there's probably going to be fewer tongued notes because you need to have the ability to stretch and tug at the tempo a little bit to build, increase and decrease energy, and so you don't want it to sound so mechanical. But if you're playing a fast march, you're going to have a lot more physically tongued notes, a lot less slurred notes, because you want your rhythm to be much more precise and mechanical. So the tonguing is for rhythmic precision. It's not for articulation style. And so what about if you're a wind player and you're playing jazz? Do you tongue or do you not tongue? Well, still it depends, because the tonguing is for rhythmic precision and the style is created by the accent placement. The word bebop is an onomatopoeia. It's a word descriptive of the sound, and the sound it's describing, the B is the quiet part and the bop is the loud part. And just like in our eighth note accent rule number 4 from my last video, you put the quiet note, the B note, before the loud note, the bop note, right? And that makes that bop note jump out more aggressively, right? If you want a loud thing to sound loud, you put a quiet thing right in front of it, right? And so the style is this interaction between quiets and louds. So if you're a jazz wind player and you want to create a more traditional sound, like if you're a saxophone player and you want to sound like Coleman Hawkins or old Dexter Gordon, well, you're going to continue placing the accents, the quiets and the louds. That's going to remain consistent, but you're going to tongue a lot more of the eighth notes, right? A lot more rhythmic precision. Where if you want a smoother style, well, again, the quiets versus louds is going to remain intact. The placement of the accents is going to remain the same. But if you want a smoother style, you want to be Stan Getz, you want to be Paul Desmond, you're going to not tongue a lot more of the eighth notes. You can have a lot more slurred, but those accents are going to remain in place. The accents create the style. And if you want more of an aggressive New York straight ahead bebop sound, Bird, Phil Woods, well then you're probably going to physically tongue the accented notes most of the time, and then you're not going to tongue the quiet notes, and that's going to give you a more driving rhythmic feel. But the tonguing is for rhythmic precision, so how much tongue you use, how much you don't use, it depends on how much rhythmic precision you want, and that's going to change during different time periods. But the placement of the accents is going to remain the same. That's what creates the style. And so when jazz wind players attempt to associate jazz articulation with tonguing, with tongue placement, this is a flawed premise. The style is created by the placement of the accent. There's going to be a variety of tonguing choices through different time periods and different instruments and different individual players. The placement of the tongue is going to vary. But the placement of the accent, the quiets versus louds, is what creates the style. That's why you can listen to jazz players on any instrument from any time period, and they may be all physically tonguing differently. But you can still hear it, and you know, that sounds like jazz. What is it that makes it sound like jazz? It's this interaction between the quiets and the louds, this accent placement, this bebop. That's going to be consistent. My name's Mark Dooley. I've been a private music teacher for 37 years, focused on practical theory and music literacy. If you'd like to hear more, follow me. If you'd like lessons, contact me. If you can learn how to read words, you can learn how to read music.